Hello, my little Ozarkians. That's what I'm going to call you from now on because that's what we are. We're fans of this incredible show. We're talking about season 2, episodes 1 through 5. So a lot of juicy, meaty Ozark stuff to talk about. We're going to be giving overall thoughts. We're going to be talking about our top moments, shockers, the evolution of Marty, the evolution of Wendy, Ruth. We got a lot to chat about, so stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Oh, yeah.
It was smooth.
Wow. Hello, and welcome to the Ozark After Show.
Hey.
We're getting into the groove because we got a lot to cover, so we got to make it fun because there's a lot of darkness here. I mean, the show itself is pretty dark.
Very dark.
Literally, if I try to watch it on my phone, I have to turn up maximum brightness.
Yes, you're right.
So before we go any further, my name is Lauren Lagrasso, and I will be moderating along with these amazing people to my left. Please tell them about yourself.
Hi guys, I am Paris Rose, Paris with 2 R's.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tanir Williams.
Hi, guys. I'm Tara Erickson.
And we are your panel for this episode and the next as we go on this lovely journey. So we're covering episodes 1 through 5 today. There's a lot there. It all starts to blend together because you're probably just watching them back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
So I wanted to start out with what are everyone's overall thoughts of the episode?
Juicy. I feel like season
Juicy
2,
like the deer.
I feel like season 1 was a little slow, which I like. I like a slow build up. But season 2 has just been like spicy every single episode. I love the women in this season.
Yes.
Ruth, Wendy, they're badasses, and so I'm loving it.
Let's hear it for the girls.
Yes.
Hey.
Tanir, we love you too.
I know. I appreciate that. No, I got to agree with you, though. Especially Wendy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, from the beginning, first couple episodes, you're like, whoa. Like, okay, she's not just like sitting by, like, oh, what are we going to do, Marty? She's taking things into her own hands. So, my thoughts on that, like you said, straight up, she's like, I'm getting in here too. And it's kind of cool to see. I like how the whole family dynamic kind of even changes a little bit, as she steps it up. So.
Yeah.
Especially because the kids know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That adds an interesting layer.
Yeah, I mean, season 1, I didn't like Ruth that much. I was like, oh, she kind of bugs me. And now I'm like, I love her. She is like part of my soul.
Right.
I love Wendy too, but Ruth, get at it.
Yes.
I love her in this season. She brings me light and joy, even though she's like dark in it. But I'm like, yes.
She's dark, but she's also the comic relief,
Yeah,
which is
she's
so
great.
necessary for a show like this because otherwise we would just be sad all the time.
Right.
There's so much darkness. I'm totally in with you. The women have blown me away in this season. I agree that it has been strong right off the bat. I mean, so far, I'm loving it more than season 1, which is, I think, really hard to do, to build upon something that was already great and make it even greater. But hopefully most great shows do that. So yeah, there's a lot going on. But what were your top moments in these first 5 episodes?
Cool.
Go,
When
yeah, she's got something.
Oh my God! Well, when they killed their own son, I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
The
Like,
smells?
yes.
Okay. And he wasn't their biological son, but he's basically like their manservant
like-
who they love.
Who they loved, who like to me was like, which is why she wants like another child.
I want a
eventually.
baby.
But yeah. I'm like, oh my God! I couldn't. I was like, yes, starting off with a bang. That was a favorite moment of mine because we all knew that had to happen. There had to be reparations for her killing one of their men, and I was like, well, great, someone else has to die. Like, who's it gonna be? And then he just does it, and I was like, this is so great. Like, I just loved it.
Gotta love a good murder.
Yeah, I do. I love true crime podcasts too. Okay.
I think one of the top moments was with Wendy when they were going through the whole trying to get the casino stuff passed.
That's mine.
And just, well, for me, I don't know if it might be the exact same one, but just when she set dude up in the hotel room with the prostitute, you know, or whatever.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And so for me, I think I was talking about it. I was like, not only like does he get caught, you know, just cheating, but the way that they set it up. I mean, in terms of what he was doing when she walked in, it was one of those like, oh no, like kind of moments on the phone. You know, I'm like looking at it like, no, you didn't. Oh. And you know, he's caught doing that, and she's just like her face, like, and that was kind of the most gangster moment for me of Wendy, because the way she just came in and she was just like, you know, she's just all calm. You know, she's just like, yeah, so we know we got you. And she kind of looks him up like I think the line she was like, you know, this may hurt me more than it does you, and then she's like, well, probably not. You know? And I was like, oh, Wendy,
so good.
So yeah, Laura Linney was killing it, man. I was just like, man, they stepped it up, you know. So I'm sure she was loving it too, bro. When she was reading these scripts, like, yeah, let me get in there. So
if you're gonna do TV from film, I mean, this is the way to go.
There you go.
That was legit my moment. Everything from that quote that she had, everything. It was just so powerful and so badass, and it kind of reminds me of Breaking Bad. Because for a while you're watching, I don't know if you guys are Breaking Bad fans.
Oh, yeah.
You're watching Walter White kind of become this bad guy. And you think he has things under control, but then his wife really is the brains behind everything. And I feel like Wendy's that, like, times 10.
Yeah, because Skylar was a little bit of a snooze fest.
Yeah.
You know, Wendy's got a personality
That's
to
what it
boot.
is.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah, she's sassy and she's cold. The way she just says these things like in a monotone, like matter-of-fact way.
Right.
It's just, I love her. But also Ruth. Like, I don't have a favorite moment with Ruth, except every moment. Every
moment.
country, her accent, she's so country.
Right.
I just love watching her evolve. It's great.
So mine was a little moment, but I loved when they went to Marty and Buddy went to pitch to the mobster. I think his name is Frank, and he was talking about his wife, and it was just good to see Buddy in his element and his power. And my other favorite moment was also with Buddy, and it was the climax of these first 5 episodes, which is when he told Wendy, "Hey, you got to do something.
Yeah.
Let's go do this." So she's distracting little Miss Snell in
Right.
there, telling her, "Oh yeah, I can totally get you a baby, no problem."
Right.
While he's out burning the field and having his last victory dance before he, you know, well, it seems like he may perish.
Right.
We don't
Yeah.
know. So we talked a little bit about Ruth, but one of the big things that happens with Ruth in these first 5 episodes is her dad is back. And we saw him a little bit in season 1, but Kate is a new character to us.
Right.
So what are your impressions of that relationship overall?
Creepy. I hate it. I don't like it. It makes me really uncomfortable. Anytime he like enters the room, he stands too close to her, and then when he's drunk and he climbs into her bed and like gives her a talk,
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just really inappropriate. But like it needs to be there to show the relationship of what that family's been through, what they find acceptable, and what could happen, and maybe what has happened to her in the
mean,
past, which
like
makes her
sexual
so strong.
assault?
Yes.
Yes.
Which I think builds her up to be like why she's such a strong character. Is like, you think like this is anything? Like, you have no idea what I've been through.
Why do you think she broke him out of jail? Because it was ultimately her testimony that got him out, that got him acquitted. So what do you think it was in her that made her want to do that?
I think it's still just that family tie. Like, it's like she's trying to prove something, like, to her dad. Like, she was so happy when he saw him, like, look, Dad, look what I'm doing. I got this job. Like, we're going to move to this house, you know. And, of course, he just comes and shoots her down with everything she said. But she's kind of like, just like, I just want that love from my dad. You know, it's like nothing's ever good enough, or he's just so Debbie Downer for everything. And for something, like you said, with all that, you would think, like, come on, Ruth, just forget him, you know, leave him. But it's just like, I think it's just that something for in a child. It's just like, I just want you to, you know, be happy for me, or like acknowledge
Or
me.
love me.
Yes.
Tell me
basically.
that I'm enough.
And then when you can, it was always painful just to see when, you know, you thought they were, or in her mind maybe they were making progress, and then there was like the car scene when he's all drunk, he like slams her head on the dashboard, and you're just like, what? And she's looking like, I just, you know, I'm trying to help you. And for me, in the first season, there was times when I was just like, oh, Ruth, like, I can't stand this little girl. You know, 'cause she's just, but this season, I'm just like totally pulling for it, because you're just seeing how she's just really trying, like, to help everybody who's not trying to help themselves. Like, she's the only one who cares, whether it's Wyatt, her dad, and you're just like, like, she's, and you know, sometimes when she relapses into her, like when she smacked the school counselor about Wyatt, I was like, and then she immediately was like, oh, like,
Right.
messed up with it. You know, but you're like, man, it's, but she handles her business, so I love Ruth, you know.
I feel bad for Ruth. I think she really is. She's really trying, and it's one of these shows where you kind of are rooting for the bad guy because they are really the bad guys. They're doing terrible things. They're part of like the cartel. They're selling heroin. They're laundering money. But you really want them to win. I feel like everyone I want to win. I want Wendy to win. I want Ruth to win. It's like Marty's the one now who's like getting on my nerves.
Well, he's trying to play both sides. I think he's trying to simultaneously be this mastermind money launderer and also pretend like he's a good guy. So that's an interesting line to walk because I think what we like about Ruth and Wendy is Wendy in this season is committed to pretty much being bad with the exception of Mason, who we will get to. But Marty still kind of thinks he's a good guy who kind of did a few bad things. Yeah. And there's this really interesting quote. I reread some Vulture recaps of what happened, and the person who wrote the article said this. It's interesting that the writers of Ozark have purposely made the traditional good guy in Agent Petty, who's the FBI officer trying to get them, into a loathsome creep, trying to offset the moral quandary at the center of the show. Which is why I think we're all rooting for the traditional bad guy.
Right.
Because their insides seem a little bit less morally corrupt than the quote-unquote good guy, who is Agent Petty.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, it's, yeah, the character development and all the way, like you said, the storylines, and you're just, I don't know how to even describe it. Like, sometimes I'm just torn in, like, so many different ways, which is good, because you're just like, like, I got to see the next episode, or, like, how could this happen, or whatever twists and turns are going on. So these first, like you said, within these first 5 episodes, all the stuff that's gone on, it's, man, sometimes your head just gets blown, type thing. So
Definitely. Now, going back to some of the characters, one person that I personally thought was dead at the end of last season, but it turns out is alive and preaching on the streets, is Mason. What do you think the purpose of bringing him back will be or is, and why do you think that they have chosen to make Wendy feel responsible for him? Because it's very clear that she's trying to save him.
That is a great point. I had that question myself. What is Mason's point? They're still around. I mean,
I thought he drowned himself.
Well, he almost drowned his babies, what they made it seem like, but it ended up being that he
Just
was
a swim.
baptizing him.
Right.
Yeah.
Quick
yeah. A long baptism,
Yeah, so I was like, oh my God, they destroyed this man.
Right.
But now I really don't get what his purpose is, other than maybe to show us how terrible this family is affecting other people's lives, and maybe to remind us that they really aren't the good guys. Look, because this guy, Mason, is the actual good guy. So I think it just serves as a reminder.
Yeah, like to make them feel guilt of like, hey, there's things that they've done in the past. It's not just right here and now that it's continually getting worse. It's like, dude, it was already bad back then. So I feel like it just serves as like a guilt reminder to see how they would deal with that in terms of like they set them up to be a family and they're just trying to do their best, but got caught up with the cartel and like laundering money. But then you're like, but then you're like, man, this guy shows up to be like, here's your reminder of like real life SHIT that
You
like
cut
you've
my
got
wife open and yanked out my baby.
Exactly. So it's a nice little reminder.
Right.
He's like, I agree. So another character that returned this season is Rachel. And Rachel returned with a bang. She crashed into a pole and then was made into a mole. Rhymes.
Whoa, she's got bars, people.
So this is something personally I didn't see coming. I don't think that she's a great informant. I'm worried for her. Petty seems like he is hell-bent on either killing her or getting information. And there's not a lot of gray space between the two. What are your thoughts on her situation and where this is potentially going? And her in general.
I feel bad because I also am annoyed by her because I'm so focused on the Byrdes winning and not getting caught, and she's in their way, and I'm just like, Marty did care for you. He did try to help you. You stole his money. And so now I'm kind of mad at Rachel, even though she doesn't deserve that.
Right. At the same time, he ruined her life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I should be team her, but I'm just like, you are messing with the Byrdes, and that's my focus at the moment.
I also think that she's, because of some of the stuff that and baggage that she's got going on. I mean, with all the the drugs and all that, that stuff.
No, I don't remember that from the first season. Was she on drugs in the first
She
season?
was clean. She was sober.
She was sober.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So yeah, that's like you said, in terms of when she's coming back, she's the informant. Then she's got all this stuff going on, and It's funny because, you know, the relationship that she has with Petty, I mean, obviously she hates him, you know, but I forgot which episode it was when he thought like the case was blown, or she had mentioned something to Marty, takes her out in the woods, and I literally thought, I was like,
he's gonna kill her.
Yeah,
it's
I was
episode
like,
4.
Petty is in that mind for like, he does not care, so
Right.
like he's crazy, you know. And I was like, he literally might do this. Like normally I might be like, oh, he's just trying to scare her, but I was like, this really might be it for Rachel, you know. And you know, it wasn't. But yeah, in terms of what she's doing, I mean, her position on the show right now, you know, yeah, it's. I don't know. I find myself just kind of like every time I see her on the screen, it's like, this girl. You know? That's what I like,
I'm like annoyed by her,
Yeah,
you know? And it's like, what, you stole all this money, and now it's like pity party, where it's
Right.
like, okay, you're going to go out and get wasted and like get addicted to drugs and then come back and be like, you ruined my life. And it's like, come on.
Exactly.
You were a strong woman to begin with, and like he did mess you up a little bit, but it's kind of pity party status now that she's back. And I'm like, well, now you're in a mole, and that's even more of a pain in the ass.
That's literally how I felt. Like whenever she goes back to the well on, do you remember you destroyed us?
It's like,
after
come
the
on.
third or fourth time,
Yeah.
I would have been like, okay, I messed
we
it, you
get
know,
it.
can we move on?
Yeah.
You know, type thing.
Right.
So,
That's
I'm
so
like,
Like
funny.
my morning meditation says, I'm completely responsible for everything in my life. And it's true, you know, the good and the bad we draw in, and we have to deal with it in a responsible way. So, Rach, come on, girl. Deal with your shit, honey. And another interesting thing is she's trying to befriend Ruth in order to get her to spill the beans. And something Ruth tells her is ultimately what tips them off, them being the FBI, off enough to go and raid Marty's house, which is another big thing that happens.
Right.
Thankfully, they don't find anything. My question is, how do they not find anything? They did find the money. They found Charlotte's $5,000, a little less than that. But, like, how do they not find anything else? Where is he keeping it? I know he's keeping it in some of his businesses, but how did they find nothing? He's so smart. I would get caught so quickly.
Yeah.
I could never be a criminal.
Yeah. I think he's really good at just not bringing his business home.
Yeah.
Even though he still does it where, like, they ask him, like, would they find anything in your computer? And he's just nothing.
Yeah.
So chill.
no, that was, like you said, and that was kind of a tip off when I saw that, like how, I mean, I know he can be like calm and like, that's actually, I think, one of his strengths. He's just always so,
Even keeled.
yeah, you know, but it was just like such a calmness, like, okay, yeah, you guys round us up, and you know, people are going through the
Do you
house, and
think-
he's just kind of sitting there.
Yeah.
And I was
Enjoy
like,
the decor.
what? You know? I was like, either he's playing it super cool, and they're about to rip open a wall and whatever, and he's just like, I don't care, you know? Or like you said, really, he's got his stuff like, I'm a step ahead, you know, again. So we had planned for this, so
Yeah.
I don't know which one it was, but yeah, it was.
This moment kind of made me realize that Ruth really is just a kid, because she seems like she's got it all together, but she could not tell that Rachel was trying to get information out of her. I was like, Ruth, how are you falling for this? You're supposed to be smarter. And she's chatting away to Rachel, and I just thought she should know better. But then again, she is just looking for a friend. She's looking for a real love. She's looking for companionship. So
Somebody to tell her she matters. That's her
Exactly.
biggest
Yeah.
her biggest desire is
Right.
to be proven that she is enough and that she's cared for.
Yeah.
And it's also interesting that you mentioned that. Like, she doesn't really have any female friend, or at least that we've seen. It's all, you know,
any female
Wyatt.
influences.
Yeah, so I think
What
when they were having that little playing horseshoe and stuff and just
Yeah.
talking, I think maybe, like you said, maybe it was just, she was a little vulnerable. Like, hey, finally someone, you know, or whatever. What did they have in common, or something that they kind of
Marty.
connected
Just
on?
Marty
Oh, was it
is
just
a
Marty?
jerk.
Yeah, that's
Hashtag
right.
Marty's
He's
a
pretty
jerk.
big dick, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And just having those stories, yeah, because they were talking about like, oh, did he do this? And then she was like, yeah, you know, and it was, you know, like you said, I think she finally had someone who could kind of like, yeah, you know what I'm going through type thing, and that just kind of opened the floodgates, like you said. So
I still feel like she redeemed herself when the heat went down. She was at the safe being like, I'm looking for anything that could give us away.
Yeah.
She's trying to get her job done. And you're like, yes, girl! Like, I just love her so much that even though she had that, you know, the mess up where you're like, ugh, she still is trying to save the day, you know, always kind of on top of it.
So this whole situation makes me think of another new character that we need to talk about, which is the badass cartel lawyer, also known as Helen Pierce.
Ooh.
What are our thoughts on her? Stone cold
Yeah,
fox is
icy.
what I think.
Ooh, wow.
I love it.
I thought when I first saw her, and I was thinking, like, first of all, when you're just coming from like a position like that, from like representing this huge cartel, I guess you could just walk in with that kind of sweat, like, you're not gonna say or do nothing to me. So whatever you think you gonna say, and it's like everything they would come at her with, like you said, just the monotone face, like the calm, well, my client, this and this
My
and this,
client. Those were the two scariest words uttered in any episode.
Right. It was just,
Don't talk about your client.
She was just, they picked the right person, because that lady, I forgot the actress's name, but she is just like, just her
She's
looks.
an Oscar-nominated actress. She is awesome.
Yeah.
She's won a Tony Award.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She plays that part because, when she, like you said, just, I feel it watching it through the screen, just her coldness, and like you said, like, are we finished? Are you
I saw a photo of her. If
Yeah,
you
that's
Google
great.
the actress's name now, I don't remember it at the moment, but if you Google her name, there's a photo of her smiling so wide, and it actually horrified me to
Oh
see
my
it.
God.
You're like, what's
happened?
going on? No, yeah, I love it though. She adds just that other element of just, I don't know, when she comes in the room, like if I was there, like when she came in to help Marty after they had brought him in, I was like, man, if I was Marty, I would just be like, yeah, what's up now? I got the cartel lawyer, like, yeah, I'm gonna go with her. Like,
Right.
I'm happy with my
And
representation.
she's just
is what I'm gonna say.
shooting darts at Petty, like, are we finished? Like, I don't have time. Like, I'm like, hey, lady, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm actually impressed with Marty's ability to not pee his pants anytime she comes in the room, because she scares me through the screen. So I'm just like, he's always calm. He never actually shows how affected he is by her. Obviously, he is, but he doesn't ever show it. And he actually, he does a good job at keeping his cool in every situation, even with crazy Darlene, with the Snells. He's always pretty calm. So
You see the calm, the storm underneath the calm in this season more, though, than we did in the last season. And something we wanted to talk about was the evolution of Marty. Personally, I think we're starting to see him crack a little, just underneath the surface. He's not ever going to crack all the way because he's just built too much emotional armor. And I think he's got small levels of sociopath running through his veins. But he is starting to show a little bit of anxiety underneath that calm sea. There's lava underneath. And
feel
it
like
might come to the surface.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like Helen Pierce is now like that calm,
Yes.
person who's taking over. Like Marty has to be a little bit more nervous because there has to be a hierarchy there, and she's kind of at the top now. Especially when she's established. Going to that gas station is like, well, I gave you the chance, and then she just walks out, and then he's like, bada bing, bada boom, you're dead. Because if she says you're dead, you're dead. Which is why when it comes up at the end, when Marty hesitates, when he's like, do you trust Ruth with your life? That it's like, you better not hesitate in front of her, otherwise sayonara. So
Makes you think twice about decision making.
yeah.
Say something, whatever it is.
But I feel like that kind of labels Marty a little bit more, having her at the top and being so calm and chill that now she's at the head of the operation instead of Marty. So I feel like it kind of shows off his like, what am I gonna do?
Right. Now, there's this big thing that we haven't touched on yet, which is basically the driving force behind these whole, it seems like it's going to be the season, which is this casino. And this casino is the thing that's going to allow the Byrde family to finally get out from under the cartel's rule, to get out from having to work with the Snells. And it's really, really hard to push through. It just seems like it's not fully working, but they're trying like hell to make it work, because if they do, all their problems are basically answered. So honestly, I'm a little sick of so much casino talk, but I see the purpose. How do you feel about it, and where do you think it's going?
I don't see it happening. I really don't. I think this is going to blow up somehow. Just even thinking about the town Ozark, and the plans that they have for it, and they want to build hotels now too. It just seems way too much and too flashy of a way to launder money. It's an easy way, because with the casinos you can make a lot of money, but it's just too flashy, too much attention. I just don't see it working out. I don't know what's going to happen though.
I think it could happen, but what would kind of keep things going is all the parties involved. Like someone might, whether it's the Snells or actually, I would think most of all it'd be the Snells might be get get a little greedy, like, hey, we want a little more, because it seems like they're prone to do that. Like,
Right.
let's change the terms of thing, and it just give Marty
It's
another
our
headache.
land.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, no, we can't do that. Like, who says we can't do that? Like, what? So yeah, there's a possibility that or I'll say it like this: if it is to get done, like, I feel like that's the next thing. Like, okay, it's done, and like you said, they think like, cool, we're about to do this, and it would be like, no, Marty, we're not finished. I need, and it's like, what? No, and then maybe or something happens to it, or it causes some problem. Because like you said, I would think that would be very flashy too. Like, if you're trying to launder, but like the feds are already like down
their
there, and then all of a
asses.
sudden you get some casinos and stuff. It seems like they'd be like, yeah, let's really watch what's going on. But I guess.
I really just want to see the boat come together and have Ruth be in charge. Because the way that she got that boat, I'm like, yes, and then finish the boat, have it be a lot about Ruth, and then Ruth is like opening the casino, and then Wilkes, and there's more stuff going on with Wilkes and Wendy, where that's going to be drama.
Let's talk about Wilkes,
You know?
because he's also a new character, and we haven't gone into that area. So he's a real interesting one. There's a lot of political corruption in this town. Who knew? Missouri is a
Right.
very
What's up, Mizzou?
silly, sassy place.
I'm so confused with Wilkes, though. For a long time, I thought he was gay. I thought he was going to be a gay character.
Oh.
Really?
Yes, so I was shocked that, like, he's actually hitting on Wendy. I'm like, wait, where did this pop up? Where was my gaydar there? I thought, I thought for sure. I don't know what it about him, maybe how he presents himself, but I was...
He's a fancy man.
He's a very fancy man, and I just assumed that he was a gay character, and I was like, yes, throw him in there, yeah. But clearly I was off.
Yeah.
Do you think that he is the same level of, I don't want to say conniving, but like, does he have that same level of political savviness that Wendy does? Is she outmatched here?
I feel that they, just from when they were first doing like the bribes and everything, like they're almost on like a similar level, which is why he's kind of, I
Intrigued.
think,
Yeah.
and almost trying to draw on like, man, like you do the kind of stuff like I would do, type thing, and I think he likes, like, that's almost like a turn on maybe for him, and in terms of like, with their, so yeah, I don't think one's on top of the other. I think they're very evenly matched, which is why they, like I said, they kind of they work together so well, because she's not, like I said, she doesn't, like look down upon him. It's like, I feel like she's dealt with these kind of characters before, so she's like, I'm comfortable dealing, because like when she was always bragging, like, man, back in Chicago we did like circles around,
Right.
So she's like, you don't intimidate me, like I've been around like your kind before, doing this kind of stuff. So I feel like he hasn't, especially like a woman, probably been like doing like what. So I feel like it was definitely a very intriguing part,
He liked her because he felt like he was sitting with a female version of himself.
Yeah, because she
That's
said,
it.
I'd wipe the floor with you, which
Right.
I put him on the same kind of level, which I'm like, if he got lazy, she could take over.
Oh, show.
I think that's an interesting insight. Something else that's been going on are hello, Mom. You're supposed to be watching the show. So
Does she have something to say?
she's like, actually, here's what I think about this. Let me tell you something. I'm in Metro Detroit, and I think that he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
So the kids, wow.
Yeah.
So they're in on this. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning. Is Jonah a little sociopath in the making? What's happening with this kid? He's obviously highly intelligent.
Yeah.
I mean, that bank account opening was like diabolical.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Very smooth criminal, literally. What do we think about the kids and the trajectory they're on? How is this all going to pan out? What's going on there?
Jonah is not normal. Like,
Yeah.
the way that I can't think of the daughter's name now.
Charlotte.
Charlotte is handling it is how I feel like most teens kids. So she's kind of spiraling out. She's
Yeah.
like smoking now. She's friends with the bad kids. She's like emotional. I feel like that's a normal reaction without blowing it. She's not like telling everything, but she's being emotional and dramatic at times, which is normal. While Jonah's there, like, give me the $5,000K. Like, I'm gonna launder this money. I'm gonna have a bank account. It's so it's a little scary and alarming. But if I was going to be a Byrde, I would be so happy that Jonah's my son.
Yeah.
Well, it's also interesting, like you said, even with all of that stuff, the stuff he's like running at school with the tests, he's shooting animals, it's just like, man, he's shooting people, yeah, he's something. I feel like, if something's going to go down, or maybe he might be the one to, like you said, I feel like he's got kind of like a cold-blooded streak in him,
Yeah.
But, hey, if I need to go out, take the shotgun and take out some stuff, Dad, I'll do it. And
Yeah.
you kind of feel like Marty, even going back to the first scene, is just like something about Jonah. Like he just, I don't know.
He's a bad seed.
Yeah, it's just like like he's doing some weird stuff, type thing. So
Right.
I don't know if
Kids
that-
want to be like their parents, so.
Yeah, he's just a mini Marty. I still feel like he has that like vulnerable kid side to him because he still was some hesitation killing the deer. It kept him up at night, like where his mommy had to sit with him on the couch,
Right.
where it was like, he's just really good at dealing with money, following money. Where should I put it? I learned from Dad.
Right.
He knows the insides to like what the Byrdes do. Where it's like, I don't know that he's that different. It's like if I look at him that way, it's like you have to look at Marty kind of the same way. I feel like he's just turning into a mini Marty in a sense. I don't know that I do the cold-blooded killer streak in him, but I feel like he's totally capable. And I feel like a few more years goes by, he's gonna be in the business of like taking out the gun, shoot it, no problemo.
Yeah. Right.
But right now, I think he's still struggling as a kid of like just even shooting the deer, which is like food, but still
Right.
it was like hard for him,
Yeah.
So
It's interesting what you said. You use the word he's totally capable, or the words that he's totally capable. And I think what's interesting about this show is that it kind of teaches us that we're all somewhat capable of going down the dark path. Because these people were good people who just made a bad decision and then it spiraled. And they keep having these, I would call them redemption fantasies, where it's like, we'll do this and then we'll get out. And we were talking about this a little bit before the show started, but do you think, first of all, that's going to work out for them, number one? And number two, just as a bigger life discussion, do redemption fantasies in life ever work out? Like when you say, if I just lose 10 pounds, I'll be happy. If I just fall in love, I'll finally feel good about myself. If I just have this much money, then everything will be okay. Do those things ever work out in real life?
I feel like for certain, that's a tough, just such broad reaching quick. Because I feel like you said, the stuff about, like money, for instance, you hear that a lot with people, like, oh, if I get like this much, and then people get rich, and then they're like, like super wealthy people are like, but I could always use more, and you'd be
Right.
like, you're like a billionaire, be like, but that's what I do, like I thrive on I can never have enough, type thing. But you know what, I know I've had those. I was trying to think of like in my life where I've just been like, no, if I just do this though, I'm gonna be good, and then
Right.
you get it,
And then you're still
like,
not happy because it's inside.
yeah, whether it was like a job, like if I just get this job making this much money, I'll be good, and then it's kind of like, it's almost like one of those things like I remember like my parents like telling me, it's like, you make more money, but then you start getting more expenses, then you're like, dang, like it's not as much as I thought, because now I'm like buying more stuff, or you buy the bigger house, or you buy the more expensive car or something, and now you're like, I thought I was happy with it. Now I got to go to the next one, and then I'll be happy when I get this job, because then I'll, and it just keeps going.
It kind of seems like that's what this is. Like the further down the road they go, and I know it's because of necessity, but the further down the road they go with these people, the deeper in they get, and the harder it's going to be to ever get out. I know this seems like a clear track doing the casino, but I'm not sold that it's going to be 6 months and then they're good.
No. I mean, the end goal of the show it would be like if they get out, the show's over. There's no more
Right.
show. So it's like you can tease us with that idea, but it's never going to happen. We don't know how they're going to fall out of the casino life, or if that's going to come to fruition and then they have to stay and more cartel stuff. Who knows? But I mean, if they get out of the life, the show's done. So it's if they want to end the show at season 2 and be like, we have to write it off by season 3, then they're going to make their way through the course of like half of season 3. But for now, I'm like, you're not getting out anytime soon if they want to continue the series, because like the end of the show ends when they succeed.
What are your thoughts?
I'm just listening. You guys, I'm like, oh man, you guys are making me think, and I things that I wasn't pulling from the show yet, so I was really like into what you're saying.
Right.
Completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I think also, what do you do after you've laundered money for this many years? I mean, like open up a bed and breakfast. I guess they could. Maybe that would be fun. Season 3.
Yeah, right. Oh my
Bed
god.
and breakfast.
Suburban family.
Oh my gosh. Well, there's so much going on. Do you guys want to make some predictions? Do you want to go on to something else? We only have a few minutes left. What are your feelings, thoughts, emotions?
It'll never be enough. That's what I was going to say earlier, so I'm just going to say it now.
Oh, there was one interesting thing. Ozark is often at its best when exploring how something so good, like suicide prevention, can coexist with something so damaging, which is laundered money from cartel and other people's deaths. So that was talking about when Laura Linney, also known as Wendy, gave the money to the wife of the senator who was threatening to sue Wilkes.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. And this show really is all about juxtaposition. Even the 5 episodes, it ends with 2 big events, waterboarding and a fire in a field. So it's literally opposites, fire and water. So that's something to keep an eye on, are those things that are seem at odds, but they're coexisting in the same world, and questioning why they are and what the writers are trying to tell us.
Yeah, no, I think like you said, it's like, are they going to circle around, or is this something? Because I feel like they drop always like little nuggets that maybe you see later, or you're like, oh yeah, or if you, I don't know, go back and watch things later, you're like, they did say this, or someone said this, or this happened, and which led to this later. So there's always so much to digest with this show, So, yeah, I'm interested to see too. Like you said, kind of the midway point, and that's kind of a big theme right there. So it's like, is that going to continue on, or like I said, circle back again? We shall see.
Yeah.
Well, we have a couple minutes, so why don't we make some predictions?
Oh.
And now, for AfterBuzz TV. Predictions.
All right, let's start with you.
So right now we're at the midway point, which is this not explosion of the poppies, but which I absolutely loved. And so I am just waiting to see how the Snells are going to react. I know Darlene is going to be furious because Wendy also kind of tricked her with thinking she's going to have a baby.
Yeah. Now she doesn't have poppies and she doesn't have a baby.
Yeah, so I think she's ready to attack. She's also mad at her husband for being so on board. So I'm ready for that attack.
Yeah, you know what? Since the whole family baby issue has been, she's brought it up in multiple episodes. I just want to see, for these next 5, kind of see if that's going to carry along, because she's pushing hard, or it comes up multiple times.
That
and
would be
sometimes
such
you
a
see Jacob's
disaster.
face, like every time she says it, you just be like, like this again, But she's another one like. She goes after. It seems like she gets her mind set on something. Like I'm gonna get this done somehow. So.
And is there something you quickly want to tell us?
Yeah. Hey.
Hi.
With our little bit of time, hey, AfterBuzzers, our network produces after shows for nearly all your favorite TV shows, from dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, and more. There's no network that works harder to serve television fans. But we need your help, so we're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels, and by subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about those pesky notifications, please don't be, because they're optional. So hit that subscribe button now for this channel, and check out our other AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well. Let us know you did so in the comments, and we'll thank you on air. And for now, thanks for being the best fans out there and for helping us to be the ESPN of TV talk.
Bam.
Ooh.
Your prediction.
Oh, yeah. I think Ruth is going to take over a little bit more. But I see her working closely with her dad. I hated him, and now he's been a confidant to her of being like, the Snells don't run, so just don't do it because it'll give you away to the cartel, which is a useful piece of information. So now it's like he's stepping into line and being like, great, now he's going to help Ruth. Even though I hated him in the beginning, I still don't enjoy him. He is a useful tool now to Ruth. I feel like she is still going to help Marty and the Byrdes, but I feel like there's going to be something that happens between her dad and Marty, because Marty is like the dad she always wanted, who's giving her opportunity, a job. He trusts her with his life.
Still doing shady things, but
Still
he's
doing
more of a good guy.
Yes, I think it's between that, like the weakness of waterboarding and the strength of like burning the poppy fields. It's like strength and weakness combined, and I feel like she's going to come at a crossroads with that.
All right. Well, I agree with you. I think she's going to have to pick between the two of them.
Yeah.
So that's it for our show today. Stay tuned for next week. We're going to be discussing the final 5 episodes. It's going to be fierce. We know there's going to be a lot of drama going down. For now, my name is Lauren Lagrasso. You can find me at Lauren Lagrasso on all the social platforms. And also be sure to go ahead and rate, review, and subscribe to this show. It helps us out. We do this for free because we love it. So if you could just do that for us, it would be all the payment we need.
Hi guys, and I'm Paris Rose. You can find me at Paris Rose on all social media platforms.
I'm Tanir Williams. You can find me at TanirW on Instagram and Twitter.
Guys, I'm Tara Erickson. You can find me on Twitter at the Tara Erickson and youtube.com/Tara Erickson.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.